Good to get started? All right, we'll get started here. We'd like to welcome Kirk into the interview room at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Chris snapped a winless drought of more than 7 years on the PGA Tour with his victory at last week's Honda Classic and a playoff over Eric Cole. So Chris, if we could just get a comment from you on what the emotions of the last 48 hours have been like following the victory and how good it's felt to get back in the winner's circle.
Sure, it's been a whirlwind, no doubt. I was first off 7:25 Monday morning in the Seminole Member Pro, so didn't have a whole lot of time to recoup. I think I slept for about 3.5 hours or so on Sunday night, but just a lot of adrenaline, obviously, and just trying to catch up with a lot of people that reached out. It was amazing to me to see just the genuine support and how many people were, truly happy for me. It's an incredible feeling. But yes, winning after almost 8 years, my life is so different than it was 8 years ago, and for the better, obviously. And so it just was, it was emotional for me, no doubt, still is, and something that I really had a lot of years of doubting whether I had it in me to do that again. So hugely rewarding in that aspect as well.
And now we turn the page to the Arnold Palmer Invitational, a place where you're one of only 2 players to finish in the top 10 in each of the last 2 years. So how are you going to try and keep that momentum going into this week?
My main goal at the moment is try to get some rest. Today, Tuesday, would normally be a day where I'd be out on the golf course practicing, but I decided that I feel like I do a really good job now of just kind of listening to my body of what I feel like I need, and so I felt like I needed to not hit any golf balls today. So gonna get some rest today, and got a good workout in earlier just to get some blood pumping, and just gonna kind of take it easy for the most part. And then tomorrow I'll kind of ramp up my pre-tournament routine of preparation and the normal stuff that I do. But this is a golf course that I really enjoy. I've had some good success here, but it's a special week for me. I've been able to play golf with Mr. Palmer, and first met him I played in 2 Palmer Cups when I was in college, and I remember meeting him at the seeing him at the U.S. Amateur one year, and I've played this tournament every year that I've been on tour, with the exception of I think 1 year maybe I didn't qualify, and 1 year my oldest son was born this week, or maybe the week after this, something like that. So it's always been a really special tournament for me. I'm very thankful. I have some incredibly fond memories of time spent with Mr. Palmer, and so it'll always be one of the top weeks of the year.
All right, we'll take some questions out here. If you have a question, we'll get a microphone to you. Questions? Edgar on the right.
Yeah, Chris, very open about your struggle, and just how good of a platform does it provide for you when you win and you're able to talk about that? And do you feel like it helps you and other people?
It's been great, and it's been something that I didn't see coming and didn't expect early on. Early on in my sobriety, I was open and honest about it just because it felt good. It felt good to be away from the years I spent hiding things and lying to the people closest to me and lying to myself, about where I was at in my life. And so it was just an incredible, freeing feeling to, wake up every day and just be okay with who I was. And so that was kind of where it started for sure. And then now, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've been able to connect with a lot of other people that are in similar situations, and provide a little bit of insight maybe, or a few small little tidbits that I can give people of what I've done that's helped me so much. And yeah, it's an incredible gift that I've been given to be able to have my message influence other people in a positive way.
But besides the benefits across the board in life, how about with golf? What would you say the primary benefit has been?
Mental clarity, for sure. Towards the end of when I was drinking, physically I was beginning to deteriorate a little bit. I probably didn't look a whole lot different, but I felt pretty bad a lot of the time. And so now, physically I feel fantastic, and just the mental clarity and the peace of mind in every aspect of my life is obviously going to carry over to golf.
All right, go ahead, Matt.
Chris, I just want to clarify. I've heard that you skipped the Genesis to be able to play the Honda. Is that correct? Okay. If you did do that, what was behind that decision making, and just kind of explain some of the opportunities that maybe this new model creates for things like that for players in your shoes?
Yeah, so I've played Genesis, I think maybe 3 times in my career, and made the cut once. And I would put Riviera in the top 10 of my favorite golf courses that I've ever played, but I just have had a very strong tendency to shoot 74 out there, or 75, and that just has not really done me a whole lot of good. And the Honda Classic is a place where I've had a lot of good weeks and have grown increasingly comfortable on a very uncomfortable golf course. It's, I enjoy the warm weather. I enjoy the Bermuda greens. There's a lot of things that I like about it, and I was still kind of going back and forth, and then I saw the forecast for Riviera that it was going to be cold, and I do not like playing golf in the cold. And so that was, to be honest, it came down to as simple as that. Like, it's at the Honda, it's going to be 80 something, and at Riviera, it's going to be 50. And so that was what ended up making the decision more than anything for me.
Jeff, and then Doug.
Chris, there's been a lot made this year about designated events, non-designated events. You've played 3 non-designated events. Between the ropes, and maybe last week's a little bit of an anomaly because you were in contention in one, but between the ropes, did Sony or Amex or Honda feel any different to you as a player?
No, they don't feel any different. The ones that I've played so far, Phoenix felt like Phoenix always does. It's a great event, one that I love, but there's, every single PGA Tour event that we play is an unbelievable event and is incredibly meaningful. I think that you saw that from me last week, just how much it meant to me to win the Honda Classic. And so, I think that the model that the Tour has is going to be evolving over the next few years, and I think that they'll figure it out and they'll get it right, hopefully. But I don't think you're ever going to take away just from how important every PGA Tour event is.
And then also last week, had you run cross paths with Eric Cole at all before last week? Did you know anything of his story? What impression did he kind of make on you?
I had not met Eric yet until Sunday. I'd seen him around a few times, and just seeing him, I just kind of figured he was a 24-year-old rookie. I mean, he looks like he's 24, and we have so many good young players that come up every year. But I read a little bit at some point, that he's been kind of a journeyman and been playing many tours for a long time and all that kind of thing. And so I thought that was cool. Somebody that has that kind of perseverance to be a rookie on tour at 34. And then playing with him on Sunday, I was incredibly impressed. I was very impressed by how composed he was. I was very impressed by how he played. He putted amazing. He hit a ton of great shots, and he looked like he had been there before a bunch of times. I mean, he looked more comfortable than I felt. I'll say that. So, and I didn't feel like I really had any type of advantage in that situation. My 4 previous wins were so long ago that it felt like for me trying to do it again for the first time. But Eric was a super nice guy. I enjoyed my conversations with him out there, and a very impressive player, obviously.
Doug, and then Gary.
For the record, the wind chill at Riv was in the low 30s on Wednesday, just so you know, and you have broken par twice there. I wanted to ask you about the world. I think you were floating around 47, I think, going into Honda. And you know what's at stake 50, and it's probably a month to go. What kind of tension does that cause for someone who wants to get back to Augusta?
Yes, I was definitely struggling with that a little bit mentally because, we do our best to treat every week the same and stick to our process and just go along. But I cannot deny how important the Masters is to me and how much I love the Masters. Growing up in Georgia, that's the pinnacle of golf. So yes, I was 47th in the world going into last week, and I knew that I needed to stay in the top 50 to get into Augusta, but I felt good about it. The Honda here at Bay Hill, the players are all 3 weeks where I've had a lot of success over the years. So I felt like, okay, I just need to have 1 or 2, really strong weeks, and we'll be all right. But it's such a difficult thing because we all obviously want our world ranking to go up, but it's how do you do that? It's hard mentally to get from, okay, I've got to get my world ranking higher, back to bringing it back to the small things of how that you actually accomplish that.
And secondly, when it comes to any type of pressure on the golf course, how do you deal with it? And I'm talking about Sunday on the back nine, for example. And is it any different now than it was before in terms of handling pressure?
I still feel, I get just as nervous now as I did before. Obviously the differences in my life off the course help a lot for sure. But I still care a lot about what I do. I really care about competing, and I think that these last few years have been really rewarding for me because I feel like I've been at a point where if 2 years ago was the end of my career, I could look back on it when I'm 70 and be like, 4 wins, I've made a bunch of money, it's been a great career. But I didn't feel like I was done yet. I felt like I had a lot to prove, only to myself. What people expect of me or think that I should do is irrelevant. But I really had a strong desire to prove to myself that I still had what it takes to win out here.
Gary?
Chris, have you, before now, have you ever owned a Honda in your life?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Are you going to?
I am going to.
What's the most miles you've ever put on a car?
Most miles I've ever put on a car. I had a GMC Yukon that I put probably 100-something thousand miles on or so early on in my career. I remember driving that was when I lived in Sea Island, driving to Omaha and Wichita and Springfield, Missouri, and all those places, taking 3 days to get there. That was shortly after my wife and I were married, and just the two of us driving across the country. But yeah, those are good memories for sure.
Got time for 1 or 2 more. Edgar on the right.
You're not at Sea Island anymore?
No, I'm back in Athens, Georgia. We moved back in 2014, 15, something like that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
out of the loop. Sorry. This course, what do you like about it? It's been bringing guys to their knees for a few years now here. Very difficult conditions. How's that suit you and fit with your style?
I really enjoy the challenge here. I love the turf conditions here, firm and fast, good fast Bermuda greens. That's I definitely have had my most success putting short game stuff on firmer, faster Bermuda. That's kind of my favorite. But it's a great golf course, I think, and really demanding in parts of the game that are my strength. I would say iron play, wedge play is definitely my best strength as a golfer, and so this is a very, very demanding second shot golf course. You got to drive it well out here, but they give you enough space. The fairways are not crazy narrow. The rough is very penal if you do miss, but it definitely plays into my hands a little bit with it being a very strenuous second shot golf course.
All right, we'll take our last one from Kathy on the left.
Is there anyone that you were surprised by hearing from after your victory? If somebody you hadn't heard from for 10 years, or somebody you didn't know who contacted you for some reason to congratulate you?
There was a few. The first one that pops into my head, I guess, is Chipper Jones, who's been I've known Chipper for a number of years. We don't exactly talk on a regular basis, but he's a great guy. And growing up a Braves fan, I mean, I'm more of a baseball person than a golfer in a lot of respects. I love the Atlanta Braves, love baseball. I mean, I went and watched warm-ups of Tampa Bay spring training this morning for a couple hours before I came out here. I mean, I just love it. So, getting a text from him was really cool.
We'll take our last question from Doug on the right. Just go ahead. We don't have time to get the mic.
I have not been to Augusta since the 2016 Masters. So my main memory is playing terrible. I played pretty solid in 14 and 15. I think I finished like 20th and 30th. Had some really good memories from those 2 years, and we got some cold, windy weather in 16, and I just didn't play great. So. I'm really excited to get back and get a little redemption, hopefully. It's hard to watch, to be honest, when you've played it and you're not there. It's I've watched a little bit, but it's like I said, it's so important to me and something that I want to be a part of, that it is a little bit tough to watch. I mean, I remember I went as a spectator in probably 2009 or something like that, and my wife went with me, who was my, I think, girlfriend at the time, or maybe we were engaged. I don't remember exactly what year it was. But I remember going and seeing some guys that I knew and, saying hello or whatever. And it was a fun day. Weather was good, whatever. But then, we were walking back to my car, and I just remember looking at her like, I'm not coming back to this place until I'm playing in the Masters. I'm not. I wasn't even on tour at that time. But that was just like, you just want it so bad that, when it's not you there and you see other guys playing, it's hard.
All right, Chris. Sorry, Doug. We need to go. We've got another interview to get to. I'm sorry. Chris, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck this week.
Thanks.